Welcome to The Explainer. High cholesterol. It can feel super complicated, right? But here's the thing, managing it really doesn't have to be. So today, we're going to cut right through all that confusion. I'm talking a clear, simple plan to get your numbers exactly where they need to be. Okay, let's just dive right into this. I want you to think for a second. What's the number one food you think you should avoid for high cholesterol? Go on. What's the first thing that pops into your head? Because your answer probably gets right to the heart of a huge common myth.
So did you say eggs? Yeah? If you did, you are definitely not alone. For decades, eggs were public enemy number one. They were the main suspect, for sure. But, and this is a big but, science has totally moved on. We're looking in a very different direction now.
Okay, so before we go any further, let's get the story straight on what cholesterol even is. To really understand what matters for your heart, you gotta know this. It's not just about one cholesterol number. Nope. It's all about the balance between two very, very different types. And here's the breakdown. You've got LDL, which you can think of as the bad or lousy cholesterol. This is the stuff that can build up and clog your arteries, and we want that number as low as possible. Then you have HDL, the good or healthy cholesterol. This stuff is like your body's own little cleanup crew, helping to remove the bad stuff. So for HDL, higher is actually better. Our mission? Lower the bad. Raise the good. Simple as that. So if it's not really the cholesterol in our food, what is it? Well, here they are, the real culprits. It turns out the cholesterol you eat, from things like eggs, has a way, way smaller impact than these two troublemakers, saturated and trans fats. Seriously, this is the single biggest game changer in how we think about all this. All right, to make this super easy to remember, let's use a simple traffic light system. We're going to start with the red light foods. And you know what red means? Stop, or at least slow way, way down. These are the foods you really want to cut back on because they are packed with those problem fats we just talked about. So what's in this red light group? Well, it's really three main things. First up, saturated fats. You'll find these in stuff like fatty red meat, think bacon and sausage, full-fat dairy, and even coconut oil. Second, and these are the absolute worst of the worst, are trans fats. We're talking margarine, pastries, and a lot of fried foods. They don't just raise your bad cholesterol, they actually lower your good cholesterol. It's a double whammy. And finally, don't sleep on sugar and refined carbs. Your body is really good at turning things like sugary drinks and white bread into a type of fat that messes with your whole cholesterol system. Okay, enough with the doom and gloom. Let's talk about the fun part, what you should be eating. It's time for the green light foods. Green means go, right? These are your cholesterol-lowering all-stars, the foods you want to load up on. Think of these guys as your three best friends in the fight for a healthy heart. First, you've got soluble fiber. This stuff is amazing. It acts like a sponge, literally grabbing onto cholesterol and pulling it out of your body. You'll find it in oats, apples, and beans. Next up, omega-3s. These are your blood vessel protectors, found in fatty fish like salmon. And third, you want to bring in the good fats. I'm talking about the monounsaturated kinds from olive oil, avocados, and nuts. You use these to replace the bad fats. It's a simple swap. Okay, so we've got red for stop and green for go. But what about the stuff in the middle? That's our yellow light category. Yellow means proceed with caution. These foods aren't necessarily off limits, but you do need to be mindful about them. And yep, you guessed it, this is where our old friend, the egg, makes a comeback. And this right here really nails the whole idea. The cholesterol in your food just isn't the big bad guy we thought it was. It's the type of fat, the saturated and trans fats, that has a much bigger impact. And understanding that, well, that's what gives us the freedom and flexibility to enjoy some of these yellow light foods. So let's get practical. What does this mean for you? Well, for most people, an egg a day is totally fine. The yolk actually has great nutrients. What about seafood like shrimp? Go for it. They're low in saturated fat. The trick is to just eat the meat and avoid things like the head or the roe where the cholesterol is concentrated. The one big exception here, organ meats, like liver. They are incredibly high in cholesterol, so it's probably best to limit those or just skip them altogether. Okay, this slide right here, this is your cheat sheet, your one-stop shop for everything we've just talked about. Just take a look. See the pattern? The green column is loaded with plants, fish, and healthy oils. The red column, full of processed stuff and those bad fats. And check this out, even how you cook makes a huge difference. Steaming, grilling, baking, you're in the green. Deep frying, that's a hard red. Now, diet is, without a doubt, the biggest piece of the puzzle. It's the main engine. But it's not the only piece.
There are a few other lifestyle habits that can basically act like a turbocharger for your efforts, really amping up your results. And what's so cool about these habits is that they're fantastic at boosting your good HDL cholesterol. Remember the cleanup crew? Well, things like aerobic exercise, quitting smoking, and managing your weight give that crew a serious power up. Exercise is especially powerful here. In fact, getting consistent activity can actually bump up your HDL levels by 5 to 10%. That's a pretty big deal. And look, I know when you hear exercise, it can sound overwhelming, but we're not talking about running a marathon here. The goal is just 150 minutes a week of moderate activity. What does that look like? It could just be a brisk 30-minute walk 5 days a week. That's it. It's all about consistency, non-intensity. One last really important thing. You have to be patient. This isn't an overnight fix. It's a long-term game. Your body needs time to respond to all these great changes. So stick with it. Load up on those green light foods, get your walks in, and just trust the process. It can take a few months, usually about 3 to 6, to see those numbers really move in your blood work, but they will. So to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with a question that turns all this information into action, like right now. What's just one, green light food you're going to add to your plate this week? Seriously, think about it. Maybe it's oats for breakfast or salmon for dinner. The journey to better numbers starts with one small, simple choice. And that's the best way to get started.